Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Ooh. I just got like arthritis in my foot. Caught on camera. These little stings and these little arthritis bits happen all the time. It's a part of the life. Ah, I wanted to come on here because I don't know, I felt called to. It was in a very subtle way, and it's some things that I wanted to address and talk about. I'm not very high energy. My period is on, um, which which is strange. I don't know. I just feel very low energy. Feels it feels very peaceful in the field. I don't know why. I don't know if you heard that click. Nothing's really changed. Nothing's really like happened in my life to make it peaceful. Like no situations have been resolved. Um, but it does it feels peaceful. It feels like there's nothing left to worry about. I keep getting like flashes in my mind of like, it's this movie I've never seen, but it's like this little kids movie about this amusement park. I don't know if you can hear the car alarm. That's why I'm doing my ear like that. It's a movie about amusement park, and I always try to watch it, but it's not available on the streaming platforms that I have access to. But from the trailer, it's like this kid discovers this old theme park, and then like all the toys come alive, and like it looks very scenic. Now I'm getting like a lot of messages now. Okay. I don't know how this connects. I'll get to that soon. Let me write it down so I don't forget. Because this is also a message. Okay. So, basically it feels like after something has happened and then like it's settled. Or like the end of a movie where like all the conflicts have been resolved and now like the good part's about to happen. One of my favorite movies, I know I always say that, but I got a lot of favorite movies, is Warm Bodies. And at the very end, they start playing this song called Runaway by The National. And the zombie boy and the human girl, and the zombie boy who's no longer really a zombie because he came into life, they're sitting on like this cliff and they're looking out over the city where there was a wall built around it to keep out the zombies. And these little explosions go off and the wall falls down. That's what it feels like. Like that scene at the end where like it's calm and peaceful and you don't have to fight no more. We are going to be getting oracle cards today. I want to say that now. Give this video a thumbs up if you'd like to show support, and subscribe if you haven't already. Excuse me. So, this has been a very, I don't know, transformative time. I reposted, or I shared in my story, this video by Lizzo, and she was basically saying how October might as well have been the new year because it felt like this shift, and it does feel like a new year. So I don't know which one to start with first. I think I'll just start with my headphones. So I lost my headphones, and it's crazy. I don't know if anybody picked pile 3 of the what do they want to tell you, pick a card. I feel like a lot of people might have been confused why it was called 18 plus, and if you pick pile 1 and 2 you won't understand. I had to make it 18 plus because of pile 3. And in pile 3, while I was doing the reading, my sister interrupted, which I hate when people interrupt when I'm recording videos, but I was just like, you know, it's fine. And she asked me about headphones. She was like, do you have any headphones with like the cord, like because my headphones are wireless. And I told her, no, I don't have the ones with the cord. And I left my headphones at a hotel. And I've said this before, but the queen sensitivity is because I'm a highly sensitive person. And so for me, my headphones are like, they're everything. They're my sacred space. I really rely on them to go in grocery stores or like Target or like the mall, because I'm very sensitive to everybody's energies and like the noise with my dog going off. I don't know what he barking about. Lord. I'm very sensitive to sounds. And so having headphones is like, that's a huge part of my life. And I'm not able to afford them, to buy them again right now. And so when I realized they were missing, it was like, wow. Because I didn't even remember putting them back in my backpack. And that would have never happened in the past, because I look to them for like such safety and just a safe haven. I would have triple checked, and I feel like that for one shows how much I've grown, where I'm not so anxious anymore, although I do have my moments. And then also I was like, this is the part, like Lizzo said in the video, she was like, a lot of things are leaving out, a lot of people are leaving out, and like you have to let this stuff go. And I even got that message in the personal reading I did for myself, like, let go of the little things that you have, because they're actually crumbs compared to what's coming in. Huge big things are coming in, and so there's no need to like hold on so tightly to crumbs. And in fact, it could be a test. And I always like hesitate to use the word test, because I don't really like the idea of that. But it is kind of like a test. Like, if we take this away from you, the we being, spirit, if we take this away from you, will you freak out? Will you panic? Will you go into an episode? Because I have done this before. I've had anxiety, especially when I was in college and in high school, and a few years after that, really bad anxiety of like any little thing that went wrong. I would need like a whole day, sometimes a weekend, to like process this thing that went wrong out of my control, which I'm not ashamed about. And today I'm just like, I heard very clearly, like, I told you this was gonna happen. That's when my sister asked me for headphones, which she hasn't in years. And I heard like, this is good. This is proof that change is happening. Things are being removed from your life. And it can feel upsetting because you're so used to those things. But the Ace of Pentacles is coming in to swoop in and provide. So I'm grateful for that, because I'm like, I've been asking for change. I've been asking for certain things to be brought into my life. That means that certain things have to be removed. Certain situations, certain people, certain thoughts, thinking patterns have to be removed. So I'm all for it. Talk about these two things. I mentioned briefly in one of my posts on Instagram, like, I've had like forgetfulness or like trouble talking with words, like feeling very spacey, like right now. And I think it's because the energies are so intense. I've had many instances in my life where I've been able to hear people speak to me without them saying anything. Like, I remember I was picking up a prescription one time at a pharmacy, and I told the person in my mind, I didn't say this out loud because I was like I was trying to get something, so I was focused on that. So I just said it in my mind. I was like, oh, thank you for giving me this. I hope you have a nice day. And they responded out loud, you're welcome. You have a nice day too. I swear to God, like, they responded like they responded to my statement that I know for sure I did not say it out loud. They were like, thank you. And so I've had this happen a lot in my life. And now, as I'm like becoming more and more integrated of my higher self, my divine masculine and feminine, those gifts are more and more activated. And it's also just a sign of like love. It's like, I don't know, I get so upset sometimes because things aren't going the way that I want them to. But when I really take the time to slow down, I see spirit being kind to me everywhere. I'll give you an example. I went to get some tea one night, and I'm so happy. I don't know if y'all know what Dutch Bros is. Dutch Bros, they stay open late to like 10 and then like 11 on the weekends, which that's the best thing ever. And I was in the drive-through and I had like a terrible headache. It was like piercing. And I was trying to tell this person my order and I couldn't remember the words to say that out loud. Like I couldn't remember English. And so they would just be like, what would you like? And they'd just sit there and then I eventually was able to speak and I was like, I'm sorry, I have a headache. You know, it hurts really bad. I can't really think right now. And this person was so kind. Like, they were just like asking me like if I had enough water that day. They gave me a free water bottle. You know, they were asking like how long I had the headache. You know, the scale of 1 to 10. Like, they were really concerned about me, which I thought was very nice because, you know, we see a lot in the media, like this lack of humanity, and it's not gone, and in fact it's very much revitalized and being brought back to life. But yeah, that's an example. Like, I couldn't remember the words. Like, I had to remember like, how do I say I would like a tea? Like, how do I say that? How do I say hot? Another thing is like, I've been forgetting the dates. I was watching Ramona Lappin's video and she was saying how we're like timeless now, which we always are because it doesn't really exist. But recently it feels like the days aren't like this day, that day, this day, that day. Like, it don't feel like that no more. It feels very open. Like, this day bleeds into this day and there's no difference between October 1st and October 6th. Like, it's like the same. It's all accessible at the same time, even though different things happen on different days. These are things that I've been picking up just to randomly just continue ascension symptoms that I've been having, besides like the ones I already mentioned. It's like fatigue. Like, I've been so tired. Even when I like get sleep and I take naps, I'll feel so tired and I'll like try to push through, but it's so heavy to the point where I can't push through. I have to go to sleep. Full body aches, like feeling achy all over my body, jaw pain, like my teeth on this side. Like, my appetite will change. Like, I'll be super hungry and then I won't be hungry. Like, things just moving around. So I guess it's another sign of like things changing. Okay, so I think I'll go to the King Kong and then I'll connect it to the judgments. So last night I watched this very powerful reading by this very beautiful reader. I don't know, I might put it in the description, I might not. I don't know. I feel it's like a very personal reading for me. So it might for you too. I don't know, it just really shook me up and made me feel very validated, like what I'm experiencing right now. And after I watched that, because basically her video was saying like, you're on the right track, you are meant to do something, Spirit has been trying to get you to like wake up fully and change your life. And there are some things that I realized that I can start doing. And like, I was like, after that I was like, okay, Spirit, show me what I need to do. And they were like, watch King Kong. And so I went online and I tried to look up like the different the ice cream truck is coming down the street now. I can go try to tell my dog to be quiet, but he's just gonna go back to it, especially with this ice cream truck. A lot of noises and interferences today. But yeah, what was I saying? They were like, watch the King Kong, and then I tried to watch the original. I didn't want to watch the original King Kong, and so I tried to watch the newer one that's like, I think 2017, but that one wasn't available, and so I had to watch the one like 2021, and I was like, this must be the one. And the first scene of that movie was just so picturesque. The filter on that movie was just incredible, and they had a lot of like yellow light a lot of light was used in that film. The first shot you get is of King Kong, and he's waking up. He's closed his eyes, and he opens his eyes. It's the first shot if you get him waking up, and the sun is like in his face and shining down on him. And he gets up, and I'm like, okay, he's in his jungle area, his element. He gets up, and then they show like this little baby girl who's deaf, and she's like running through like the forest. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm like, be careful, he got some big feet. And I need some chapstick. Ugh. But anyways, he's just walking along, and then finally he gets to this tree and he picks it up, he tears it out of the ground, and then he like rakes the leaves off of it, so it's just like this sharp stick. And I'm like, okay, is he about to use it for a toothpick? And then the little girl, he sees her, I think right before he turns to talk to her, he takes that huge stick, which is it's a tree to us, but it's a stick to him, and he launches it into the sky, and he shoots it like right at the sun. And that's when you see that he is not actually in the real world. He is in a simulation. He's in a simulation. And I'm like, what? That just, one of my favorite movies, there I go with favorite movies, is, what's it called? Why can't I remember the name of the movie now? It's the Jim Carrey movie where, oh, it's the Truman Show, where he's like, it's fake. It's a TV screen, and King Kong is pissed. He's pissed about it. And they go and they show you like throughout the week, he's just throwing things at the screen. And so I feel like people who don't understand would take that as him being overly aggressive. Why is he being hysterical? Why is he acting so crazy? Everything's fine, but he is completely in the right because he is living in a fake world. So now I'm going to cross over into judgments. So this is something, I just saw 1727 on the time. I've been seeing a lot of 17s. This is something that I feel like is a very interesting sort of thing. So I've gone on my rants publicly before. My most recent one was the exposing racism one. But I also sometimes go in little rants on my Instagram live. And I feel like, I remember the one I did when I was outside at the park. Oh crap. I tried to grab my chapstick, it just fell on the floor. I was outside at the park and I was doing that one that was like very cleansing of like everything that was bothering me. It was meant to alleviate that. And like people commented under the post like, I don't know, just get back to love and light. So anyways, I feel like a lot of times when I'm having these rants and I'm having these moments, people take that as like me being judgmental, me being overly upset. I should learn how to tame my emotions and like not let people get to me. And you know what I mean? Like it's this feeling of like, why are you attacking, and why are you don't have to be like that. Like you don't have to be so aggressive. But also like when I call out stuff, it can come off as judgmental. And I've said this in kind of similar terms in one of my favorite Instagram live videos. But basically, I feel like there's this thing that happens when people open their eyes and wake up like King Kong did, and you realize what's going on. Your immediate reaction is gonna be anger, and it's gonna be clumsy, and you might not use the best vocabulary. You won't be politically correct. But it still needs to come out. And I feel like people are silenced and silence themselves a lot because they don't want to come off as discombobulated or not knowing what to say. But that is a huge problem. You know, it just keeps the silence going and the suppression going and the oppression going, but it needs to be gotten out. Another example that I was seeing in my mind of how to explain this is like, excuse me. So we're undergoing a huge awakening process, huge activations, you know what I mean? Waking up to who we really are, what we really want, what love really is, what it looks like. So imagine like toddlers, very baby children, you know? And they get ready, they start learning how to talk and they start learning how to walk. It's very clumsy. Like they fall, they grab onto tables, they knock stuff over, you know, they mispronounce words, you know. What does it say? Oh, that's very. I'll read this because I remember like when I when I go back and watch it, I can't read the comments, or maybe I can. Anyways, it says, if they are your streams of consciousness, moments of clarity, it's your truth. This world has become overly sensitive and desensitized at the same time. I would agree. So with the toddler thing, you know, toddlers start learning how to talk. They speak really loudly sometimes, they speak too quietly, but all of these errors are necessary in order for them to learn how to speak. And so, you know, as I am waking up to me and like, you know, living more and more authentically every day, I will sometimes like go back and like remember stuff I said. I'm like, oh man, like did I sound judgmental? You know, was I too harsh, or was I too this and too that? And you just have to back off yourself because like I said, I would rather speak and sound cocky, arrogant, judgmental, like I know it all, you know, and boo this person and boo that person, than be quiet and silently suffer and let people walk all over me. That's what's not gonna happen. No more of that. And so I'm sharing this to say that if you feel like that sometimes, if you know, when you finally do speak up, you like, oh man, I was too harsh, or I could have used this word and that word better. Please don't be too harsh on yourself. View yourself as a toddler who is learning how to walk and to speak again, but for the first time. And it's gonna be clumsy, it's gonna be messy. And that goes to the point of this person, I think last name Elizabeth, where they're saying like we're sensitized, overly sensitized, and also desensitized at the same time. And I feel like, I don't know, what did I want to say about the sensitivity? I feel like a lot of the sensitivity that is in the world is ingenuine. I've said this example many times and I'll stop using it when it no longer is relevant. But for example, Lizzo. People still to this day, under her pictures and under her posts in the comments, will always mention something about her weight and how she needs to lose weight because she's inspiring people to become obese. And obesity can actually kill you because it comes with this, this, and this, and this, and this, and all these different health problems. That's a person who is supposedly being sensitive. Like, you need to do better to be sensitive, you know, to people in the world because you're inspiring them to become obese like you, which is the worst thing that a woman could ever do because it's unappealing. But whatever. I'm just being sarcastic. But it's like, that's not sensitivity. That is false. That's ingenuine. They're not actually saying that out of concern and out of consideration for all the people that look up and aspire to be like Lizzo. They're saying it to degrade her. They're saying it in a derogatory manner. It's ingenuine, it's fake. And I feel like the honest truth is that people are extremely desensitized. And I feel like that also often comes out online because a lot of times, like I was saying, myself included, in our lives, we don't speak up. You know, we just keep doing the same stuff, keep letting the same stuff happen to us. We allow it, and we keep doing the same stuff to other people. You know, it's just like these cycles, and like nobody, you get the chance to speak up finally online when you're like quietly typing behind a screen. Like you've been desensitized in your own life, and so the truth has to show up somewhere. Which I feel like that's another topic that it's not in my notes. But I do think I want to talk about it. There's been a lot of like revealing. Like the more that I've been speaking my truth, the more that I've stood my ground and been like, hell no, I'm not doing this and I'm not putting up with this no more. People's reactions to me, how people react to that, it's very revealing and it's relieving at the same time. It can feel very uncomfortable. I've had a lot of stress about it, but it's like people were like this the whole time. They were like that the whole time. These people, these wonderful people, like this the whole time. And it's like now you finally get to see it. Now it's out in the open. And with me being an intuitive, like we all are, I felt all of this stuff that went unsaid around these people. There's always something that tells you, don't fully trust this person. You know, there's something off about this person, but there's no proof. You can't see anything physically. They haven't actually said anything, but you can feel it. And like when you start speaking your truth is your superpower. Your authenticity is your superpower, because what it does is it triggers and it activates people, and that part of them that was hidden has no choice but to respond. It will respond. It'll come out, and that shows how much power you have. I think it's very cool, although it can be very scary. But I don't know. Right now, I want to think about it as something that's very cool, because it'll spark something in people, and it'll reveal things that otherwise would have kept on gone hidden. And that's one of my jobs. That's one of my missions here. I trigger a lot of people, and it has not always been fun. Be very lonely. But I do. I feel better than I ever have in my life. I feel really good on myself. So I would encourage everybody to do the same. I think I want to circle back again to what I was saying about there's no proof. The message that I kept getting was that the revolution will not be televised. I'm sure everybody has seen me. Like I posted twice on my Instagram, and I posted in my story, and I posted the music video. It wasn't a music video, the lyric video to the song "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised," because that's the message that I keep getting over and over from Spirit. It's like this idea of like proof. So if we go back to what I was just saying about how you always know who not to trust. You always know who not to give everything to. It's always this feeling. But a lot of times we go against our intuition, like me. I've done this several times. And I try to be friends with people. And I try to be like, oh, I'm going to keep on, doing this because they're nice and they haven't said anything wrong. And then eventually, over months, over years, over hours, depends, you'll see that thing, that nudge that you had. And it's like, excuse me, this is big energy. That your intuition, your gut feelings, what your heart is telling you, that is the proof. That's the proof. And it needs to be trusted and believed before the physical. That's been the message from Spirit. It's like the government will never come out and say, hey, by the way, we're going to stop oppressing everybody. And everybody's just going to be free now. Like it's never going to be announced by anybody. There's never going to be something that flashes across the TV or an announcement that comes on the radio that like announces that it's time for you to be free. This is something that is a knowing. This is something that is a happening. And you are the proof. And this is something that has been coming to me more and more, which kind of leads me into my last topic, which is when it's time to go. Because recently, I keep on asking, like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Because every time that I apply for, like, a job, it just always feels wrong. I often feel sick, if I'm gonna be honest. I feel like physically sick, and I just won't feel well, like if I'm about to go into some sort of job or do an interview, because I'm not supposed to be doing jobs within like what to call it, like corporate business. I'm not supposed to be and stuff like that. But I'm like, Spirit, well, there's not enough money for me to come in, or abundance, I should say, coming in for me to be able to sustain myself. I can't afford myself to live on my own. And so I'm always like, what should I do? What should I do today? What should I do right now? And I'm like, okay, maybe I should go and get some tarot cards. Maybe I should go and get some oracle cards, or go watch a reading of somebody online, or go on Instagram and find some sort of pick a card message. And the message from Spirit was like, you'll know when it's time for you to do something. And when you think about that, think about any time where you just kept getting like a little poke over and over. Hey, you should start, let's say for example, you should start go to this park. Go to this park today. That feeling, it's very clear. You probably have, I usually have visuals in my head of like the place. It'll come up in my mind, go to this place. And then it'll keep, like if you don't go, you'll keep feeling that nudge over and over to go to that place. So it's like, there's no need to get all caught up constantly in this anxiety and this worry about like, what should I do next? What should I be getting into? Because when it's time for you to do something, when it's time for you to go to a place, anywhere, you will know and you will feel it. And also, you will have access to it. This is something else that's been prevalent in my life. Like, for example, with my headphones. Like, if I were supposed to have my headphones, I would have remembered as soon as we left the hotel. I would have been like, let me check for my headphones. Like, it would have come in my brain if I was supposed to have them. It would have, some alert would have gone off and told me, you forgot something. It would have been bothering me the whole time. And then when I finally got home, I would be like, that's what it was. But this time I didn't have that. There was no nudge. There was no feeling of like you left anything. And so when it's like that, it's because it was time for them to go. I'm no longer supposed to have access to them. This is something else that's happened recently. Like, I haven't been able to afford a lot of things that I used to be able to afford. And I would get really frustrated and start like asking Spirit, like, why can't I manifest this for this? This is something that I need. And then I took a step back days later and I heard like the answer come in, like, the reason that you can't afford this anymore is because you're not supposed to have that no more. It's not for you anymore. And so when you look at stuff from this perspective, you're always rich, you're always abundant, because you always have access to exactly what you need. If you think about it in that perspective, if I would have been able to afford, and this is especially important if there's unconsciousness playing out. I want to emphasize that. This is especially important if unconsciousness is about. This is specifically about unconsciousness, because let's say, for example, I was able to easily afford this thing that I wanted, that I always have this, I always get it every month. Me being unconscious, me not being aware of like myself and just going along every day doing the same stuff over and over, I would have easily gone out and bought that again if I was unconscious. If I was conscious, I would have been like, something's telling me, don't get this time. But what's so cool about Spirit is that even though it's annoying, when you are ready for change, they will make sure that there are certain barricades so that you don't have access to what you no longer need before you are conscious of the fact that you don't need it no more. Does that make sense? Like, it's really nice in that way. It's like, you said you're ready for change and you're genuinely ready for change. Okay, here we go. I'm going to take this stuff away because you don't know that you don't need it no more. and that way you aren't allowed access to it. Then when you have the abundance, when you have the change and it opens up the floodgates, you will be conscious enough so that you won't make decisions and purchase things, or go next to people, go be with people that are no longer for your highest good. This is a beautiful way that we can perceive life and think about it in this way, and that's how you're always abundant, and that's how you're always extremely loved and divinely protected. It's kind of like the child lock on the car doors. It's like, look, I'm gonna put these child locks on the doors because right now you're a child and you're unconscious. And so when we're speeding down the highway, you might open the door up. You might try to open the door handle. So I'm gonna prevent that access, from being accessed. I want to prevent that from happening. And then once you're more conscious, which, in this example, you'd be an older person, you won't open a door on the highway because you understand that won't be for my highest good if I fly out of the car at 70 miles per hour. Does that make sense? Like, once you're conscious, it has nothing to do with necessarily like material abundance or you being blocked from something. It's about the harmful effects of being unconscious. And that's why sometimes, things are like blocked. It's a blessing. So I don't know. I'm kind of excited, to be honest. I'm like, man, like my headphones are like, how people are like, what would you get if the house is on fire? I would have got my headphones. My headphones, my phone, like sound is very important to me. Blocking out sound. I'm very sensitive to sound. And music is very therapeutic to me. Sound is very therapeutic. And so like with that being removed from my life, it's like, oh wow, like what's gonna come next? I don't know, I might get some really cool headphones, who knows? Or I might like live in an environment where I don't need them so much. That's also something I was thinking about, because one of the main reasons that and this is for you, so apply this to your life in any way that you feel like. Anytime I share personal stories, it's for you. Okay? My legs need to be stretched. Ugh. So one of the main reasons that I even need headphones at where I live now is because the people in my life, periphery, I don't know, in my perimeter around me, they can be quite loud. I don't like TVs going on in the background. It's a lot of noise. Sometimes my dog barks a lot. And so that's the reason why I need headphones at home. But if you think on a grand scale, like spirit, somebody who is aware of things that are about to come into my life, like for example, owning my own home and my own space, there's no reason for me to need headphones at home because I can play music as loud as I want without disturbing anybody. There won't be background TVs on. Like, it's just stuff like that. And then like, you never know, with like supermarkets, I could go to an area where I could farm my own stuff. I don't need to go to the grocery store so much. If you're thinking from like a very grand perspective, anything could be coming in. And that's why you don't need the crutch so much anymore. And I feel like a lot of times we mistake crutches for necessities, when really the only necessity you really truly need is you. That's it. Because I feel like we have a lot of like limits on what we perceive as possible. Like for example, I wear contacts because I can't see very well. And so in my mind, like my contacts are my necessity because my glasses can be uncomfortable. And it's like, oh, if I lost my contacts, I would feel like a necessity of mine was lost. But spirit knows just on the other side of magic, I will somehow have perfect eyesight. You never know what's gonna happen. Like, I can get laser eye surgery. Like, anything could happen. I could wake up one morning with perfect eyesight, but I don't know that now. So you have to be okay with stuff moving out of your life and just interpret that as something better is coming along. And it's okay if you, are angry and upset and if you have tantrums, but this is a much better way to view it. It saves you a lot of stress and anxiety and worry and trouble. It just saves you a lot of time. So I think now I'm gonna pull some cards. I want to read from Twilight first. I was trying to get one of these books, but both of them came out. These are the two Twilight books. They're very sticky because I put tape on them for some reason when I was in middle school. I don't know. I thought it was cool to put tape on stuff. So I have bacon tape here and I put black tape on the back. So it's sticky. I don't know why. So let's get some quotes. First from Twilight. Oh. Let's do a different page. I heard 34. It's not page 34. Are you all right? He asked tenderly, reaching out slowly, carefully to place his marble hand back in mine. They were soft, repentant. I looked back at his hand and then deliberately returned to tracing the lines in his hand with my fingertip. I looked up and smiled timidly. His answering smile was dazzling. Okay, so I feel like with this, like the cool marble, did she say marble? I don't think she said marble. Oh yes, she did. To place his marble hand back in mine, and like them being cool and repentant. I don't know, it feels like in-depth appreciation. There is something, I don't know if you heard the bird, there's something arriving that will feel very intimate and appreciative of the very small things. This is something that I find very interesting about feeling safe. When you feel safe with people, you feel safe in a place, you're not busy trying to perceive danger all the time and worried about saying the wrong thing, and this and that. You can slow down and take in the tiny details. And I also feel like this is advice. This is something that I like to do that I think people find me fairly strange for. But when I'm at a place, I try to slow down and look at stuff that people walk by all the time. Like, for example, a pine tree. Today I was at a school, and at my old school, and there was a whole bunch of pine trees, and I could smell the pine in the air. And I was like, I don't remember the last time I've smelled pine like real pine in the air. And that's something to appreciate. So this is advice for that, but I also feel like there's somebody who is coming into your life that will appreciate the lines on your hand. And also with the lines in your hand, that's palm reading, which got brought up to me recently. So I don't know, there might be something important about that. I don't know if I'm gonna get into palm reading. I don't know if that's something that I care too much for. Oh. I heard read the whole page. Yeah, it's me. My voice is unsteady. Where have you been? He thundered, appearing through the kitchen doorway with an ominous expression. I hesitated. He probably called the Stanleys. I better stick to the truth. I was hiking, I admit. His eyes were tight. What happened to going to Jessica's? I didn't feel like calculus today. Charlie folded his arms across his chest. I thought I asked you to stay out of the forest. Yeah, I know. Don't worry, I won't do it again. I shuddered. Charlie seemed to really look at me for the first time. I remember that I had spent some time out in the forest floor today. I must be a mess. What happened? Charlie demanded. Again, I decided that the truth, or part of it anyway, was the best option. I was too shaken to pretend that I had spent an uneventful day with Floral and Phonia? I don't know how to pronounce it. I saw the bear. I tried to say it calmly, but my voice was high and shaky. It's not a bear though, it's some kind of wolf. and there are 5 of them, a big black one, a gray, and reddish brown. Charlie's eyes grew round with horror. He strode quickly to me and grabbed the tops of my arms. Are you okay? My head bobbed in a weak nod. Tell me what happened. This is page 246. So the number 5, I just mentioned the hand, which is 5 fingers. 5 is the number of change. This is the scene, I'm sure everybody knows, this is the scene where she sees the werewolves for the first time. But it's not focusing so much on the vampire, like, or why she was in the clearing in the forest in the first place, which was about Edward. It's focusing on, like, this is her reaction to seeing 5 big wolves for the first time in her life. And she is obviously shaken and unsteady, but she's not petrified. She's not delirious with fear because she's already been exposed to the supernatural world of vampires. And so I feel like this is also a message from Spirit of, like, take a look at yourself, because right now, as this number 5, there's a lot of change and upheaval and turmoil and things being removed and brought in our lives. Look how you're reacting to it. Like, think about how you would have reacted to this 5 years ago. Think about how you would have reacted to this 5 weeks ago. It would have been very different. But like I said at the beginning of this reading, it's calm almost. It's like, you feel uncomfortable, you feel shaken, you feel unsteady, you feel confused, maybe lost, wondering what to do. But you also, I feel like Bella also knows, like, she saw that they were there to help her, those 5 wolves. They chased the vampire away. Like, they're not there to hurt her. And so a part of her feels a sense of calm. And then I also love how in this page she kept repeating, I might as well stick with the truth. I might as well go with the truth. I might as well tell him the truth. This is what I was saying earlier about speaking the truth, about being authentic and revealing who you are, being genuine, and how it does get you somewhere. And you might think, it might be messy, or you might think it's gonna be messy, or you might be very scared and timid about it, but in the long run, and I think even in the quick run, it's for the best. It leads you to the highest possible timeline. Yeah, it's like one way or another, the truth gets revealed. And when I say the truth, I'm not talking about, like, I don't know, horrible stuff that happens in the world necessarily, although that can be a part of it. What I'm mostly referring to is the truth of your soul, that you are an infinite, immortal, eternal, powerful being, and that there is nothing to fear. Because who gonna check you? Who gonna check a being that is just source, that is just divine, that is so massive that it can also be the size of a single atom? Like, it's just so extraordinary. How could that being possibly ever lose? You can't. That's the truth that I'm talking about. When you really tap into that love, then it's like everything around you just kind of becomes less significant and also more significant. And that's what I mean about, like, slowing down. Like, you appreciate it more because you're not fearing it anymore. You feel safe. You don't feel, it's less significant because you know that it can't kill you, because you can't be killed. Like, it can't touch you. So it's less significant. But then because you're no longer afraid of it and you're not flinching, you can open your eyes and enjoy it. Or at least, just be at peace with it and accept it, because I feel like some stuff, it's 5:44 now. Some stuff, we don't enjoy. So these Rumi Oracle cards are some of my favorite. I'm so glad that I get the the honor of having these cards. All of my cards. I wanted these cards for such a long time. And one day I was just like, I'm getting them. They've helped me so much. Excuse me. And they always know what to say. And I think that's very interesting about these cards. Like, they always have exactly the message that I need to hear. I think that's it, just the one card. I'm hearing two. What's the other one that wants to come out for these pretty people? I surge on the uprising wave of love and resplendent with grace. Let's show the images of these. Oh, but the other card that came out was this, the all-encompassing hand, which I think was already at the bottom of the deck. It's getting hard for me to see my face. And I think we'll get some of these cards. I made these myself. So again, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you're still watching it. Thank you so much. I do personal readings. There's information on that in the description. This one wants to come out. And if you would like to simply donate, I'd appreciate that too. And can you please clarify this one? Oh, I'm hearing this is not to clarify. It's just messages. Leave it at that. What size are you in rings? Marriage has been coming up a lot, but I think specifically rings. So let's chat a little bit about that. So rings represent the circle, right? Which represents like forever. Like, just, we keep on going forever and ever and ever. But I also feel like this is the end of all cycles. A lot of cycles are coming to a close, an end now. And so, I don't know why I said now in such a weird way. And so I feel like the ring, I don't know, it represents, it's changed in meaning for me. I feel like it's no longer a symbol of like what will be, which would have, if you're going in terms of cycles, what will be would be what is, right? That's why people get married. They're like, in the future, I'm still gonna feel this way. I'm still gonna do the same things. I'm gonna keep these vows. So the ring represents what is what will be. But since this is the end of the cycle, I feel like when I see rings now, and I've been hearing about them, it feels like this is representative of what was, like honoring what was. It's the closeout. It's a closeout of the circle. If that makes sense. Because I feel like what people are aiming for with the ring is the Ouroboros, which is the infinity symbol, but it's not. It's a circle. And that's two different things. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay. So the first card that came out is From Nothing to Everything, 16. So I don't know if you've been seeing the number 16. I've been seeing the number 12, 21 a lot. 12 and 21. 21, 21, 21. 16 is the number 7. All right, I'm gonna read now. Stretch my legs out. Oh, my friend, if you are longing to be written on, become a blank page. Rumi. I wrote a poem called like A Miracle on White Paper. That's why I'm like smiling. All right. Have you been shredding your skins, your layers, your certainties? Gone are the fixed identities and definite opinions. Keep casting those shackles aside, even if you fear you are releasing too much, and then perhaps you shall cease to exist. You shall only cease to exist as you have known yourself to be thus far. Another emanation of you awaits, blazing angel. something more beautiful and true. Yet, here you are at the pruning stage, like a gardener for the soul. Shall the garden spring back to life, or will the enthusiastic denuding process be rather too much and unintentionally kill off the garden altogether? Fear not, your soul is made of hardy stuff. It can handle a lot of culling and will shine even brighter for it. There is a greater story to be impressed upon your essence than the one you are currently dreaming up. Though you are brilliant, no doubt about it, my angel, there is one who is even more so. The imagination of this great writer is beyond our comprehension. The stories that pour forth from that cosmic poet in every moment are so rich they inspire the creation of art and music. Once a story is especially created for you, yes you, with a starring role and all the best supporting casts, you shall gasp in wonder, awe, glee, and delight when you hear it. It is a great romance, a great adventure, with an ending truly spectacular and divine. Would you wish to hear it? Become attentive now. Put your own tales aside, as dramatic as they may seem right now, and prepare to be entranced by the greater storyteller, the living poet of love, as you are entranced in a tale of your unfolding divine destiny. I'm going to keep reading. There are moments on the path of love that seem to focus on letting go of identities, of knowledge and certainty, of opinion, and even attempts at control. We may feel as though we are being stripped back to our core, and even then perhaps further still. We may wonder if we can bear it, what shall, if at all, remain intact through these rigors. We may feel challenged every time we attempt to become something great, as though we are blocked by circumstances beyond our control. Again and again, it is as though a greater hand smacks our wrists the moment we try to take hold of something firmly, someone, anything that brings us certainty or inner stability. Such are the rigors of an advanced stage on the path. We meet this challenge when our soul is ready for it. This is everything that I already said. It's so cool. Why must it be thus? This is a sage question indeed. When we are asked to dispense with our story, the interpretations we have given to our life experiences over the years, we may not hear the quest at first. We may vaguely note it, but not recognize the great divine source asking this of us, and so we do not give such an inclination due accord. We may persist with spinning our own tales instead. Oh, our mind may fancy itself to be a great wrangler of the word, impressed with its own judgments and declarations, yet, in the light of comparison with the divine tale for our soul, all our fancies shall pass away, revealed as so very frail, like clouds dissipating in the sky. Perhaps we are graced with the realization there is so much more. Or perhaps we still don't get the hint and move into struggle as we try to enact what we think our story should be. We may hit obstacle after obstacle and create even more terror in our storytelling, that life is such pain, a struggle, that success may not be for us, that we are forgotten and unheard. Yet, we could equally choose to wonder if obstacle after obstacle, closed door after closed door, is just a prompt to look for the open window to climb through. As if so, instead of seeking to impose our small story upon the great truth, we can live the truth of our divine destiny. Then something magical happens. We participate through presence along with the unfolding story of our soul journey. We open up to whatever is asked of us, presented to us, happening through us as we choose each day to come alive as much as we can. Then, as if by magic, there is something else that occurs. That would be grace. Real, rich, dripping with goodness and sustenance grace. This is the sacred blessing that enables us to pay attention to opening doors rather than closing ones. The divine assistance that lets us know our life is proceeding according to a greater intelligence and plan. Once we stop thinking quite so much and live day to day, we will be blessed with the realization that our individual life story is so much more extraordinary and perfect than anything we could have summoned, even with our wildest imagination. This oracle comes with guidance for you. You are being asked to let go, to receive, to become empty, to be filled. This may mean letting go of attachment to a lover so you can receive genuine love. It may be of no longer holding on to a fantasy of your dream job, but of being guided into your most soulful and successful vocation. It may mean letting go of wishes for your body or health to be other than it is, so you can simply get on with living each day, taking steps into wellness without thinking beyond one day at a time. In this divine paradox, that when we are asked to surrender our story or fantasy, it is because reality is knocking at our door more often than not with the delivery of what we have been fantasizing about, but in the best way for us. The human experience of this paradox is that you may feel you are giving up hope, that your fantasy is dying. It may be very painful and bring you much grief, but all that is dying is your attachment and opinion about how it must be. This needs to happen so that you can stop dreaming and start living it. This is what is happening for you now. Do not fear any part of your process. Embrace it without expectation, with trust in your heart that the divine is simply guiding you from fantasy into fulfillment. Thank you for saying that about my rings message. I feel like it also just taps into like what I was saying. I don't know when I said this, but I was saying about like the American dream and how that's what everybody is like taught to chase. But there's so much more to life than that. And I feel like that's kind of what I was getting at with the ring. Like we think that it's this grand symbol of forever, but it's actually very limited in that it's cyclic. It's about cycles, repeating. We don't want to do no more cycles. No more cycles. You know what? I've been getting that song "Biking" by Frank Ocean. I feel like he's gonna release something recently. If I'm right, like come back to this video. But Frank Ocean, he's that song "Biking" featuring Tyler the Creator and Jay-Z. And at the end, he's like, he goes crazy. He goes crazy, and he's like, I don't give a no more. Like I don't care no more. I'm done. Like he's just going in, and that's the energy that I was talking about when I was talking about the toddler and like speaking in a way that is very irritating, I would say, to like proper society. In a British voice. Okay, I think I'm gonna read this one next, and I'll get to like the messages card. So the all-encompassing hand. I heard all the encompassing. Ooh, look pretty cool with this little light. Ooh. This looks like the light from like the King Kong movie. It's like, I think it's Godzilla versus King Kong movie. I think I'm gonna mention that now, cause like at first it's like King Kong versus Godzilla, and then King Kong, he goes home to like inner earth, like he goes back home. He sits on his throne. He gets his divine relic back. And then that's when, like, after that, they no longer go against each other. They go against this fake version of Godzilla that the humans made. They made this fake version that's out of like metal, and like it's out of inorganic material, basically. And they fight against that together. When you look at a lot of stuff from like a spiritual perspective, which I feel like that's like the biggest perspective you could possibly have, everything is telling the same story over and over and over again. And it's like spirit is just kind of like waiting for you to catch on. I always think it's so interesting, because this is what I've said before about like the ops. Like they do these tactics, but even their tactics are a part of God's plan. It's all a part of the divine plan. So for example, movies like King Kong versus Godzilla. Like, it's very masculine, a lot of death, a lot of like senseless killing, a lot of that in that movie. But there's underneath it, or very obvious if you looking at it from, like I said, from a certain perspective, it's very obvious that it's telling you like this isn't real. That the reason you feel irritated is because this is an illusion and you're trapped inside of your own mind, you know, and that the person that you like, the people or the whatever you've been fighting for, against, are actually on your team, and who you are actually, you know, meant to fight against is the anything that's inorganic, anything that's not love, if that makes sense. It's like, I don't know, it's right there in your face, and like it'd be looking like it's not, but it is. I don't know, I just felt like a loss of confidence. Like, keep your confidence high, because you're right and you're on to something. I feel often like I'm not, but I am. I'm right. I'm on to something. All right. So it says, "You are the essence of my existence. Who am I? A mirror to your hand. Whatever you do, I will do. I am your irresistible reflection. With every breath I feel, my heart is beating with yours. In your joy, I am exuberant. In your sadness, I am sorrow. If you are bitter, I become bitter. If you are grace, I become grace. My joy is when I am bewildered in your beauty and taste the sweetness of love on your lips. If I pick a rose without you, it becomes a thorn in my hand. If I am a thorn, I become the rose in your hand." Rumi. This is page 93. "I have held your hand in mine for so long that I have long since ceased to distinguish where your sacred flesh once felt separate from mine. This sacred grasp pulses with love divine, and there is one hand holding and held, one being loved and loving, though we may appear by less ecstatic angles to be two." I literally just said this. That's crazy. The love that gives us this hand fast beloved is so powerful we could spin the entire universe upon its axis, and still our hands would be joined gently and yet enduringly in unfailing love and sublime friendship. This is, I literally just said this. Like, the movie, it looked like it's one thing, but it's actually two things, and in those two things, it's actually one thing. "Perhaps you are in need of reassurance, dearest one. Perhaps you have been feeling somewhat alone." I just said this. When I put this card down, I was like, oh, somebody feels like, I don't know, they lost confidence. Okay, I'm gonna try not to interrupt. "Perhaps you are in need of reassurance, dearest one. Perhaps you have been feeling somewhat alone on your path, or struggling with a matter deep within your precious, beautiful heart, and speaking of it to no one. Such loneliness that can foster in the heart, with no other to bear witness to your life experience. You may question your life, your sanity, your truths, and create doubt where no doubt need be." Excuse me. "This must stop now. You are worthy of so much more, and the suffering is not essential for your growth now. It is time to let it be and to open up to the touch of grace." So this oracle comes to you as the hand of the divine. It is the all-encompassing hand, the hand that has no limitation upon the blessings it can bestow, upon the troubles it can lift from you, upon the tenderness it can communicate to you through sacred touch. Allow the divine hand to reach for you, beloved. Do not turn it away. Do not let old shame, guilt, or mistaken notions of false independence keep you from accepting this heavenly hand. This hand reaches to gently wipe away tears of the past. It will deftly unravel the ties that have bound your own hands, preventing you from fully giving and receiving according to your worth, which is incontestable and without limit. This divine hand will reach for you in your meditations, your sleep, and your prayers. It will reach for you through life circumstances, through the smile or hug you receive from another, or the touch of another human being. It will reach for you through the song of a bird, the falling of leaves, the soft fur of a beloved pet, through song lyrics that seem to speak what you are feeling deep inside, or the colorful dress of the stranger across the street who catches your eye and makes you smile. This divine hand is reaching for you now through this oracle. Yes, says the great beloved, I am reaching for you. Yes, I know you. You are my own. I would never abandon you. Perhaps you have turned from me unknowingly, forgotten how much I love you, because this world is in a forgetful daze too, and ignores the caress of the breeze, the joyful acknowledgement of every sunrise, and the reverence made radiant in every sunset. Life is a touch bestowed by my hand. Shall you receive me? Let me love you. Let me restore your soul and remind you there is nothing to fear now. Come, lay down your weapons and your fear for this moment. Quit using that mouth to cry for war or to cry in despair. Bring yourself to my table and use that mouth to taste something so bold and rich with wine instead. Enjoy with me in this moment the unbreakable bond that lies between us. Allow me to bring the cup of wine to your lips. Behind your head so gently lies my all-encompassing hand. Know the peace of my love, so deeply can it register with you now that you shall never again forget it. This oracle comes with a particular message for you. There may be a situation or circumstance in your life that you may feel is somehow unable to be solved. This oracle comes with reassurance that there is nothing beyond the reach of the divine hand of grace. All can be solved. All can be resolved. There is always a higher, better, more beautiful outcome possible. You are asked to pray using the sacred honoring ritual and to do so with conviction. The divine has the situation in hand and all is unfolding as it should be. Ask for each day by saying, I ask for help this day in all ways through unconditional love. Thank you. You can be more specific in your requests, asking for help in a particular leadership or project too if you wish. The divine wants to lend you a hand. You must ask for help, however, so ask. Empower that all-powerful hand of grace to bless your life in all circumstances, relationships, and situations that have been or are yet to be for you. All right, and then now, the rest of the messages card. So this deck is by Alana Fairchild, and I believe the artwork is by Rasuli. I think that's how you pronounce it. I prayed for you to find me. So I feel like this is somebody else to you. They're very happy that you arrived in their lives. And I feel like with this one cent on the back, they knew that you were who they prayed for the first time they saw you. Sometimes I'm too afraid to fight for what I might lose. Somebody is like being tossed along the waves. And I feel like this could be you. But I'm also hearing like, it's all good. It's all good. Like, it's okay if you're tossed. It's okay if you feel like you can't fight right now. You will. Every movement, irregardless of if you perceive it as going forward or not, any movement is progress. Spirit doesn't, your soul doesn't do linear anyways, if that makes sense. I remember I was telling somebody this. I was telling one of my friends this, he was a guy, he was masculine, and he wanted his life to go in like this very linear way, and like he didn't have room for like slip-ups, because he from his perspective, he felt like he'd messed up his life before by just being willy-nilly. And so he was on like this straightened arrow path. And I drew him this picture of these dots. I'll do it now. I feel like that's important. I drew him these pictures of these dots. Like this. Oh, Lord. And I was telling him, it's still progress, even if it's not straight. Looks like an M and an R, I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like you're still going, even though it's not like from point A to point B. you know? I don't even think going in such a way is the healthiest or best way for our untamable souls. You know what I mean? We too cool. So more letters. F-A. FFA. You are the only one. So there's that. My soul knows the truth. My mind lies. So this is obviously from another person, but I've had this recently where I have to really keep my thoughts in check and to make sure that I'm adjusting them according to what I know to be true versus what I thought and what I believed to be true. I'll look after you. I love this. It's always reminds me of the song by The Fray. And I remember how they said they got their name from like a party they were at, and they let the audience pick, like write down on pieces of paper the name of the band, and one of those pieces of paper had The Fray on there. And so it's feeling of like, if you just open up and ask and just are open to receiving, like what you need will land right in front of you. Like you'll be looked after. Tell me how to fix this. Don't they have, who had that song Fix You? It's Coldplay, and I think that's a cover. It's interesting. These bands were like Coldplay is still very popular, but like they were very hot around the same time. Like The Fray and Coldplay, like they had peaks at the same time. What was it, early 2000s? And I will try to fix you. I think it's a Bob Dylan cover. I'm sure it's a Bob Dylan cover. There's more messages in that song. But okay, I think that's it. I think that's it. This has been lengthy. Very proud of my, oh, it's 6:11. 6:11. I love how like everything I do unintentionally lines up to these angel numbers. I think it's very nice. So yeah, I'll leave it here. Thumbs up, subscribe, leave a sweet comment, and be blessed. Thank you for watching.